Welcome back to Becoming. My name is Nick Slater, joined by my lovely girlfriend / co-host, Zoe Markel.
Hello, guys. Now,
one thing is certain in life, and that's that when the honeymoon period ends, the spark dies.
That's a bit grim.
Well, I'm just saying it happens to everybody. Doesn't matter how much spark there is at the beginning. Once it gets to a certain point and you start fighting in front of each other, all spark will be ripped savagely from the relationship.
Speak for yourself.
No, it does sound a little bit dramatic, but the good thing is it just means your relationship is evolving to the next level, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just what happens, but it's up to you to put measures in place to keep the effort going and try and keep it alive.
Yeah, the beautiful thing is there are things you can do during that evolution so that you can still have hot, steamy sex, intimacy. Today, we wanted to talk through some of the ways that you can nurture your relationship through those changes so that you can still have hot, steamy sex.
Our parents might be listening to this.
Oh, shit. Mum, do not watch this episode. First, we thought we'd highlight some of the reasons why the spark might start to die from the relationship, and then we'll move into some really practical ways that you can light it back up again.
So I think it all comes down to finally getting comfortable and relaxed with each other, which again isn't a bad thing. That's a good thing and it happens over time. But I think when you're dating and sort of peacocking and only showing the very best of yourself, and especially from a girl's point of view, you're always making sure that you're done up and looking your best and holding those burps in or other things. And
clarify, please.
Passing wind.
Passing wind? I'm sorry.
I'm not saying farting.
Passing wind. I haven't heard that since.
When you think about it, passing wind. Actually, it is quite accurate.
I think it sounds
exactly what it is.
It sounds even more gross.
No.
Sorry, I've just got to pass wind.
Sorry, I'm letting off a massive fart.
Oh, it's inappropriate.
Anyway, my point was, I think at the beginning, you are sort of being your most elegant and feminine self, and then when you start to relax, maybe you let some of those slip, and not that the attraction fades with it, but there's definitely, I think you can get too comfortable.
Yeah, you got to find a way to keep the spark alive even as you show off some of more human characteristics.
Yeah.
So when you move in together, that's another one, because you're suddenly seeing all sides of that person.
Yeah.
Not just the side that they put forward in the date.
Yeah.
That's a huge one, actually, because when you're dating, even if you are seeing each other a lot, it's always, 4 hours at a time, then you wake up and you go home. When you suddenly move in together, you're seeing that person for 24 hours a day. You're seeing everything they do.
That reminds me actually of when we first started dating, and I think I speak for a lot of girls here, when you first start staying over at a guy's house and you need to go to the bathroom and you just don't, you hold it in until you go home, and the stomach aches you'd get, and I'd go to so many measures. I'd try not to eat too much, and it's so funny because going to the toilet is human, but at first I was so embarrassed or scared of it. At yours, it was so weird.
Thank God we had 3 toilets at that place.
Yeah, I used to sneak down to the downstairs one without you trying to know.
I had zero idea that was happening.
I was like a ninja.
I knew exactly what was happening.
Did you?
Where's Zoe going? But yeah, these are all normal parts of the relationship evolving. So that's why we felt compelled to do this today. What are some other ways the spark might die in a relationship, do you reckon?
Routine can be a bit of a killer of spontaneity, fire, keeping that spark going, because I love routine. You know me, I'm super organized, probably too organized, too much in my own routine. But recently I am trying to go with the flow a bit more and be spontaneous. And that's something that you're very good at. For example, if we, in my head, if we're to go for dinner, I've got to know what day of the week it is. Is it Thursday? Okay, I'll book, make sure we have a table. Whereas this week it was a nice evening. I think I got home and you were like, should we just go out for dinner? And I was like, actually, that would be lovely. And we didn't have a booking. So we sort of fell into the second restaurant that we found, and it was so relaxed, and you're teaching me to go with the flow more. But yeah, sometimes I think then routine, going to work, coming home, cooking dinner, going to bed, it all becomes every week sort of molds into the same, and you don't have that fire and that dating anymore. So you need to keep it alive.
That's a tricky one. Yeah, coming home from work, especially if you're working long hours in the city, and then you have to cook dinner, and after dinner you're tired.
Yeah.
It's hard to find time in there for intimacy.
Yeah.
Both people just aren't really in the mood.
Yeah.
So I think in those times, or we'll dive into that, what I think could be a good resolution for that next.
And I think with those hectic work routines comes a lot of stress. I mean, I've had it before where if you're super stressed at work, you take it home with you, and the last thing you want to do is have a deep, meaningful chat or be super affectionate and, have sex, those sort of things. It's like you're just exhausted.
Stress is the biggest killer for men's testosterone and men's libido as well. There have been times where I've been so stressed out and my nervous system has been so depleted that there's not one part of me that's been horny or turned on.
Yeah.
Because if your internal state's dysregulated, you're not going to have those natural processes which encourage libido. So stress would be a massive one. Hey?
Yeah. The next one is probably a communication breakdown. And again, communication is so simple, but a lot of couples just don't do it enough. And I'm not talking about simply talking, asking how your day was. It's going deeper, really active listening, asking them questions, and just making that sort of time for them to be vulnerable and open up. I don't think we do that enough.
Communication's sexy because it's a way for you to connect, and
Yeah.
it's hard if you're not talking. How are you going to skip that step to go straight to intimacy?
Yeah.
You really need to build that emotional connection before you can feel safe enough to get the libido going and to feel safe with each other.
And I think that's more so on the men's part, to be honest. I think they don't know the right questions to ask and sometimes how to open up properly or even have, deep conversations.
Oh, yeah. I've been guilty of that as well. If I'm struggling with something or I've had a stressful day with work, it is hard for me to open up sometimes because, for men, you've got to balance this role of being the provider, but you don't want to make your girl feel unsafe. So it can often be a delicate balance trying to work out how much to be vulnerable about. Because some things I do believe as a man, you should save from spilling with your partner.
Ooh, like what? Or are you not going to tell me?
No, I just think non-important things around stress or career stress, probably save that for a conversation with the boys.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to bring that into your relationship. That's going to make your partner feel unsafe.
Yeah.
And besides everything else, that's going to kill the spark.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that actually. Probably the most obvious one that most people talk about is physical intimacy. So, sex. And you're not at it like rabbits like you are at the beginning. So you do really need to make effort for it. I know we're all tired, we all have busy lives, but, whatever sort of frequency works for you, just make sure that you are putting effort into it.
Because I guess at the beginning, because there is that primal attraction, you don't need to think about it because naturally you're so drawn to each other.
Yeah.
Because evolution. But once that dies, then it kind of becomes a conscious thing that you have to put in a few little steps to create that same spark.
And I think as a female as well, being in touch, actually for both sides, being in touch with your flow, your cycle is a huge one for that. I'd
love to move into that. But maybe before we do, what do you reckon the biggest thing that I can do, or boys, that zaps the spark?
Oh, that's a good one. I think for me, it would be talking about financial stress. And I think it's important to talk about it. I never want you to feel that you can't, but touching on what you said earlier, making the female feel unsafe because men naturally are the provider. I know women can earn more, but I'm talking about sort of, going
traditional roles.
Traditional roles. If you were to say, I'm really struggling, then that sort of makes me feel unsettled and like we have lack of security from the person that should be giving it to me most, And it's a fine line, you have shared finances, so half the time you do know what's going on and I'd always want to be there for you. But like you said, it's sort of one conversation for the boys and then one maybe with your partner.
Or maybe it's, you say there are important financial discussions you have to have,
Yeah.
setting it up in a way that embodies confidence and assuredness so that it doesn't bring any negative emotions around money, so that the partner feels like everything's safe and under control.
Yeah.
Because, I can imagine that's a bit of a boner killer.
And then what about for you? What do you think a girl can do that makes a spark fade from your point of view?
What comes to mind, now this might ruffle some feathers, but if you come home from work in like a really stressful kind of masculine essence, and I'm not saying that you should never have a masculine essence, but that's great for your work day when you need to get shit done, you're being a boss girl, you're making big decisions at work. But when you bring that home, and I'm trying to be masculine as well by taking charge, whatever, if we're both got that masculine energy, it's hard for us to create polarity and create the spark. So that's probably what comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
And the resolution's easier said than done, I guess, because how do you switch from, work mode into home mode?
Yeah.
That's quite difficult, I imagine. But these are the kind of the things you got to think about to keep that polarity alive at home.
Okay. So how can we then keep the spark alive?
Okay. I touched on the masculine feminine dynamic. For me, that's the biggest one to keep in mind. I guess that's kind of the overarching principle, and then habits or decisions or intention can fall beneath that. So this is non-gender specific, by the way. So if you are a male and you feel like you have more of a feminine energy, that's great. And for same-sex couples, I hear gender roles are often more fluid, so you can interchange. But what works for our relationship is when I embody the masculine, you embody your feminine. And if we can keep that in mind when we're at home and how to really increase the polarity, I feel like that's a really good starting point. So yeah, you might come home from work in your masculine energy, you're a little bit stressed. I try to come up to you and just soften it a little bit. I'll embrace you, give you a kiss and let you know that you're home and you're safe.
Get off me, I'm stressed. Stop smothering me.
Yeah. Do you think that helps for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it is nice to come home after a stressful day and just sort of relax and let you take charge, because I have been taking charge all day in my job. So it's like, okay, my time to sort of unwind and chill and then hand the reins over to you.
Yeah, so divine feminine is all about submitting and receiving. Divine masculine is more about taking charge and leadership. And so when both roles embody the opposites, you can create that really nice spark. And that's a great place to start if you want to rebuild your intimacy.
It sounds like I don't do anything though when I come home. Can I just say that I do cook and I do other things?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we all do things throughout the day with both feminine and masculine energy. Cooking can be both, really, because it can be quite a mindful experience, but it's also like a practical, tangible thing. So you've got elements of masculine and feminine. And that's why it gets a little bit confusing. Some people just associate masculine with man and feminine with woman, but these energies exist in us all of the time. And it's about this harmony between them, which actually creates our whole self. But in a home environment, I guess you have to lean into your dominant energy to create that spark.
Yeah, I find it sexy when you take charge, book dates, you're focused with work. Yeah, it's a big turn on.
It's important for guys to remember that, I think, going back to those traditional roles, there's going to be times with kids and work where your roles really do blend. But I'm such a huge believer that when you can lean into your essence, whether it's masculine or feminine, it's going to have such a positive impact on your relationship. And I've seen it with you. Whenever we've had moments where our intimacy's died a little bit, I'll go back to showing you that I'm dependable, that I'm safe, really take charge with work, show you leadership around the house. And I know it sounds a little bit old school, but it actually does work in creating that spark.
Totally agree. The next one for me, and we have a whole episode on this, is love languages. It's essentially knowing and really understanding your partners. So it could be things like prioritizing quality time. And I know that sounds simple, but if that is somebody's main love language, it would mean so much more to them than you realize. There could be things like planning a picnic at sunset or a surprise drink after work, just something that shows them you're wanting undivided attention with them and you've thought about them and you're sort of taking the charge. They don't have to think.
Yeah, love languages, it sounds almost fluffy, like another just psych pop bullshit thing, but it's almost like a way to diagnose any issues in your relationship. Say there might be a communication thing. You go back to your love languages and think, well, have I been giving her enough compliments?
Yeah.
Have I been giving her enough words of affirmation, gifts, whatever hers might be? And then you can start to kind of work out where things might be going wrong.
Yeah, a really cute idea that Hillary and Marvin actually do is called the alphabet dating game. So someone will start with A, so you surprise the other person. So it could be aquarium. And then the other person will do B, that could be bike riding. And it's just a really nice way to know whose turn it is and then who's surprising who. And again, it keeps the spark alive because you're putting in effort. The other person doesn't know what's coming. It's fun. It's out of routine.
Yeah, that's a bit of fun. And also just consistently planning date nights is
Yeah.
important, right? I imagine if you got kids, date nights would be the first thing to go.
Yeah.
So trying to schedule those would be pretty important.
Yeah.
On the topic of scheduling, I recently put up a post where it was about a woman who was ovulating and they had to schedule intimacy.
Your skit.
And there was a lot of comments about whether scheduling is sexy, whether it's necessary in a relationship. And it got me thinking about when you're single, you kind of, in a way, do schedule sex. Say you've got a third date planned on Wednesday night. The general expectation is that you'll go home together. So for those 3 days, you're kind of thinking about it. Everything's in anticipation of that night.
Yeah.
You go get your hair done. The boys might get a haircut. And while it's not consciously planning for sex, it's creating this energy of anticipation that's building up to that night.
It's true.
So I think you can take that approach into a relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not explicitly saying, let's have sex on Wednesday night.
But it could be in line with date night.
Absolutely. Let's get a babysitter.
Yeah.
Let's go out for date night. Send some sexy texts throughout the day.
A few cheeky margaritas, get in the mood.
Maybe you looking so fine. Maybe like a cheeky selfie.
Oh.
That might turn you off though.
A nude.
Yeah. Nude selfie. And yeah, that's a great way to build spark for the date night.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was reading those comments and the idea of scheduling sex to me was instantly like, oh, I don't want to have to be told when to do it, because also it sort of lines up with a woman's cycle. You know, sometimes some parts of the month I am super horny when I'm ovulating, and the week before my period, it's like, don't touch me. So I think I think you have to do a bit of both. But then one of the comments was also talking about women with sort of endo and PCOS. And I totally understand that they really do only have certain times where they're not inflamed and in a lot of pain. So that makes sense. So I think it's different for every couple. It's not a sort of one size fits all, but work out what works best for you guys and sort of keep going with that flow.
The cycle one's huge. And once I became aware of your cycle, it made it so much easier to navigate intimacy with you. It's amazing how it's an unconscious thing. So when you're ovulating, I'm naturally more aroused because it's probably an evolutionary mechanism.
Yeah, your pheromones, is that the right word?
Yeah, well, I think you're fertile, so my body's like, let's go, let's get it.
Let's make a baby.
And then on the flip side, when you're, on your cycle, I find myself not as like aroused as well. So when you can base your intimacy around the woman's cycle, it takes the pressure off those weeks where there might not be the same attraction. And then when there's the ovulation, you could probably do it a little bit more. And you know that it's because of the ovulation. So becoming aware of it and moving in alignment with the cycle has been massive.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for sort of getting to grips with it, because I know to a guy at first it must be like, whoa, what the hell? What are all these words and luteal phase and follicular? But I think it really does pay off to be in tune. It's
an intuition thing for sure. So for any guys out there, if you might be in a down week, think, oh, is this related to her cycle? Or if you are really energetic, maybe it's related to her cycle as well. It's just becoming in tune with that and having the patience to remember that it always comes back.
Yeah, only a 4-week cycle. So moving on to the next one for me, it's all around small gestures, because, bringing back the spark or keeping it alive doesn't have to be these big elaborate plans and spending lots of money and organizing dates. It really can be the small stuff. And sometimes for me, that actually means more. So an example is whenever you and I go spend time apart from each other, where you're on holiday or I'm going with the girls, I think you started it actually by writing a little handwritten note in my luggage that I either find when I'm there or you tell me to read it on the plane. And we've sort of kept it up, haven't we, since we started. And it just, I don't know, little love notes like that I think go a long way, because reading words that you probably wouldn't always say to me means so much.
It's old school. There's something nice about writing letters, isn't there?
Yeah.
Putting pen to paper.
It's sort of romantic. And it's different from receiving a text or, something about handwritten notes.
It's also effort, reflection of effort. Don't you think that goes a long way as well?
For sure. And again, small gestures, well, depending on the bouquet, but you're very good at buying flowers for no reason. So not because you're sorry or not because I achieved something.
It's just Catholic guilt programmed into me.
No, but I love that because it's a small gesture, but it means so much to me because I love flowers and I love lilies. So the other week I came home and it just really made my day. And then watching them bloom the whole week, it puts me in a good mood. And yeah, small gesture, but has a big effect.
Just a bit of effort, lads. No. Yeah, effort goes a long way. I'll give an example. If you want to create some intimacy later that night, start by planning things throughout the day. Might be in the morning. Start by planning things throughout the day. Throughout the day, send texts, check in, maybe create the scene, a little bit of teasing or flirting. When you get home, make dinner, have the table set, light a candle. Those things go a long way.
What these all have in common is simply spending time together and undivided attention, really making time to listen and not be on your phone, not be distracted, just simply being together.
Phone is a massive one as well. What an intimacy killer that is, because you're right, you're not present when you're on your phone.
Yeah.
If we spoke about like what kills intimacy, I think when you're watching TV with your partner and you're both on your phone, sure, there's nights where that's totally fine and we do that all the time.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you need some intimacy, maybe direct your attention to your partner and Phones away.
And never at the dinner table. Pet peeve.
Yeah, to be fair, we don't often eat at the dinner table.
No. I mean, who really does?
Do you reckon that's an intimacy killer, TV dinners?
Probably. Like, I would love not to, but at the same time, sometimes when I come home from work, we love watching good shows together. And I think that's sort of a thing we enjoy.
Well, we have a cuddle on the couch.
Yeah, we are intimate. It's not like we sit at separate sides and we're on our phones. We oftentimes are cuddling or intertwined and talking, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as you do make time for sit-down dinners, which again we do, and you do have those chats. I think it's when I come home in more energy, I'm like, should we sit at the table? It's like a big thing.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Or if the meal warrants a table sit-down.
Yes. Spaghetti bolognese, never TV dinner.
Prawn
Goes everywhere.
tacos.
Tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I like to do if it's like a table dinner is on YouTube, I'll put on some jazz in the background, or the fireplace one in winter, which is a bit of fun. Light a candle, and I've got 100% success rate doing that, guys. But no, going back to the couch hugging thing, it makes me think that not all intimacy needs to be sex.
Yeah.
Because I feel so close to you when we're on the couch having a good snuggle.
Little strokies.
Yeah, strokies on the head. You don't need to have sex all the time to create that really close intimacy thing. Do you think?
That reminds me actually of something. I think it's by a guy called John Gottman.
Oh, John.
You know him?
Yeah.
Know him well? It's called the 6-second kiss rule. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's just basically saying that if you have a 6-second kiss daily, that's enough to build intimacy without sort of getting in the way of everyone's busy lives.
Are we talking tongue here or what?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because you wouldn't just peck and hold for 6 seconds. There must be some tongue action.
I think it's got to be diesel.
But I kind of like that. I reckon we should give it a go.
I don't mind that, yeah.
I think if most of our kisses probably are pecks, unless we are about to make some love. But actually, going back to snogging, I hate that word.
I love that. It makes you sound so pretty.
It really does build intimacy, because you're sort of cuddling when you do it. You're getting a bit sensual.
Okay.
Bring back the 6-second kiss, I say.
What about eyes open?
No.
Do you think getting those eyes open so you can really
that
connect,
really creep me out.
tongue and eyes open?
I'm going to have to have a peek now next time.
I'm going to call John and make an amendment. What also works for us is hotel stays. Even if it's in the same city, there's something about getting out of your environment, getting out of your home, and going to do something for just you guys.
Yep.
And this might apply if you've got kids. Get a babysitter, go do a little staycation.
Something about when you walk into a hotel room, you just know that everyone before you had sex in that bed.
Oh, well, and that turns you on?
I don't know.
You're a dirty dog.
I think there's something you associate hotels with making love, don't you?
Well, now I'm going to realise what's on your mind when we walk.
No, it's sort of, I think the anticipation of I know it's coming tonight.
I think it just relaxes you. You're on holidays, you get that feeling. You don't have work responsibilities. You don't have to worry about cooking or the kids.
You're just in the shower with their lovely, nice smelling body lotion, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, hotels have been formulated to bring back the spark.
Maybe we could do a collab with a hotel.
We do collabs with hotels all the time.
Yeah, I guess you couldn't really film the intimate pic.
Is this your pitch to go on OnlyFans? I've told you time and time again, no OnlyFans. Zoe, this is a self-help podcast. My God, what have I gotten myself into?
Wow.
Bonnie Blue, Lily, someone.
Zoe Mark.
It's Zoe Marker. All British.
And did you know Bonnie Blue? Did you know Bonnie Blue what used to be a recruiter?
Oh my God.
There's a trend here.
Did you also know she's 25?
Yeah,
She looks like she's 40.
I know.
That girl's seen some shit.
We are that. That'd be nice.
Let's finish on a high. Guys, let us know what you thought. Drop some ways to keep the spark alive in the comments. We
Yes.
always love hearing your comments.
New ideas are welcomed. Things that do work, things that haven't worked, funny stories, send them through.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks because we off to Mexico.
Yes, Mexico and Costa Rica. So we will have a bit of a 2 or 3 week break, I think, between this and the next one.
Yeah, but follow our socials. We'll be posting there.
Absolutely.
We're going to find some sloths. This is my goal for this trip is to find a sloth. Apparently in Costa Rica, they're just hanging out in the trees.
Oh, I can't wait.
They're like kind of like our version of koalas,
Yeah, I guess.
but more creepy.
Skinnier.
Yeah. Long fingernails.
Yeah, they're kind of weird.
They're so weird. What about that reel where the construction workers say it's a sloth?
And he's holding onto the brooms.
Sloth is on a broom and it looks like he's riding it like Harry Potter.
Yeah, and they did the Harry Potter theme tune at the top.
I'm going to put that in the description. You're welcome. I'll see you soon. And
Thanks,
I love you.
guys. I love you.